The golden flow. Today, we're going to talk about the energy that affects your life. Hi, I'm Kaylin, and I like to help people be who they are, be authentic, and be unlimited. Today, instead of doing just an email, I'm doing a video for you, and it's because I wanted to talk to you a little about Feng Shui, and that's because Feng Shui, which is looking at the energy and the flow of energy in a home, is on my mind since I'm looking at buying a little condo right now. So I thought I would make a little lesson out of it because it's a great thing to think about, and I think it's fun, and it's also really beneficial to make sure that the energy that you are living in and that is undoubtedly affecting you in your life is the way you want it to be, because that energy does affect all of your life. It affects your health, it affects your romance, it affects your business, perhaps not terribly significantly, but it can be terribly significantly, or oftentimes you can improve it, and instead of having the energy have a flow that is taking away from things, you can at least have a flow that is adding to things. Of course, since I'm not going to turn you into a Feng Shui expert today, we're just going to go through some simple tips, a few little things that you can do to improve the Feng Shui of your home. So the first thing is watch the flow. There's a real easy and obvious flow, and so here is my very quick sketch of a house. This is supposed to be the front door. And this is actually a house that I looked at, a little condo that I looked at when I was looking around. This was the kitchen, and then this was the living room. This was a sliding glass door at the back. And you want to watch, one simple thing you could do is watch to see where the doors are. It's also true with windows, particularly with doors. The energy and the Feng Shui comes in the front door, or whatever your primary entrance is, because that's the door that you open and that's where energy flows in. And it'll make the quickest route and the quickest way out that it can. The thing about this to notice is that means that, for example, in this picture, the kitchen and this part of the living room or dining room aren't necessarily getting a lot of flow. And so at that point, this is where Feng Shui masters will come in and put a plant or crystal in the flow so that it'll divert the flow and bring it into the rest of the house. There's nothing wrong with having your flow go through rooms and sort of sinuously spiral through before it goes out. That's actually a beneficial thing. That's what you want. You can really think of it as simply as if you wanted fresh air and you opened your front door, how could you make sure that the fresh air was getting all throughout your house so that none of the energy in your house got too stagnant? If there's some dust in your house, ironically, you can kind of think about how can the air come in to either clean the dust or make the dust settle. In other words, that fresh air also brings in dust, but it's a good thing. We want that fresh air because that fresh air brings new energy, and it brings in new energy that can really affect your life. Now, the truth is that the direction on a compass that your front door is facing is going to determine the energy that's coming, because from a universal perspective, energy all flows, and it depends on the positioning of the earth and the stars and all these things. Feng Shui is actually a pretty intricate science, but we are therefore kind of just looking at this very simplistically speaking. The truth is you want to sort of watch and make sure it's a good energy that's coming in, but no matter what, you don't want stagnant energy. No matter what, you're going to want a nice energy. So that's a real easy thing to watch. If you do things like, if there's a window open over here and you open that window, you'll find that that'll divert the energy some too. So it's a good thing to sort of be aware of and look at, and even with that much information, I bet that if you look at your front door and you look at either a back door, a sliding glass door, the windows, you might get a sense of how the energy is flowing through your house, and you might get a sense of how you'd like to bring it into some other parts of your house, which is really some of the most significant information you could take from our first tip. Our second tip, get a sense of the vibe of your house, the feel of your house. So if you don't have developed in yourself some sensibility to energy and to vibration and and what the energy's like, one thing you can do is think of or use a plant. If you were to put a plant right here in the middle of the house, for example, you will find that whether the plant gets light and a flow and that kind of thing, then the plant will thrive. If, on the other hand, the plant is like in a corner, this is actually like a half wall. If the plant were low on the half wall and it were dark, it probably wouldn't get a whole lot of life-sustaining energy, and the plant might have a hard time or die. So you can sort of use a plant or sense, you can probably look around your house and go, if I put a plant here, if I put a plant here, basically speaking, if a plant or if plants were in my home, how would they do? If the answer is not very well, you really want to increase the flow in your house. You want to increase the light. You want to increase flow in Feng Shui is really often thought of as water or movement. So you want to increase the movement. And that, of course, makes perfect sense because as the energy moves, as wind would move through here, that's movement. So as you increase the movement, your plant is going to do better, and you are too. So that's a nice, easy way to sort of get a sense of, if a plant were here, that could tell me how much movement there is, whether or not there's enough light, whether or not there's enough water or air or any other element you feel you might want going through your home. And, this is also going to help you understand why placing a candle in certain positions can sometimes help activate the energy, because that adds to that movement. It attracts some of the movement, especially, of course, when you light the candle. If you just have the candle off the whole time and it's collecting dust, that's not going to do it for you, and that might instead be an indicator that you have some lack of flow there. So now our third simple tip is you can give your home some intent, because one thing is that we do have an ability to bring some energy into a space, into a home. And so whatever it is that you have, and I found this little graphic, thank you to Microsoft. So I thought it was a good one because I have a few little Buddha statues myself. So, if you were to put the Buddha statue somewhere in your home, like over here, it's going to help not only with some of your flow, but it's also going to help some of your intent. If you were to place a Buddha statue with the intent of adding peace or inner connection or more love or whatever intent you bestow upon it into your home, you can know that that is going to happen at least to some degree. A good way to activate it and make sure that either it builds or that it at least doesn't sort of fall asleep, to make sure it stays awake or gathers some momentum, would be to make sure that your statue is always well dusted, maybe dusted every day. You can do something the Chinese do, which is offer something to the statue every day, like an orange or something like that. Put incense there. And you can also every day simply say a quick prayer there or do your meditation there, because that'll activate the energy for you as well. So I hope you've enjoyed my 3 tips. Feng Shui is really on my mind, and I had gone to Hong Kong about 10 years ago and gotten certified as a Feng Shui specialist. So I know a little something. It's been a while and it's not my main thing, but it's something I really enjoy and I think is a big, important part of our lives because it really affects us. Living in a beautiful place brings about a very different energy than living in a rundown place. We all know that. So I hope that these 3 tips help you kind of get you thinking about your home and maybe even get you improving it and activating the energy of it. Again, thank you so much for joining me in this week's email video. Until next time, may you stay in the flow. This is Kaylin.